Welcome to our Projects in iOS course from Edgionics. My name is Brett. In this lesson, we're going to test out our quizzes. We're going to make a few adjustments to the quiz UI interface, and we're also going to add some additional elements in our navigation on our main scene and our quiz scene. Now we're going to ensure that our answers are getting shuffled. So we don't have all the answers displaying yet, and we're going to work on that. And that is part of our assign button text function, which we have here and is working for button 5. So here we can follow a similar pattern. So I'm going to grab this and we're going to do 4 more of these. So if I just put a line between them, they'll be a little bit easier to read. And we're going to create new variables and change our buttons here. So for this next one, I am going to do, let's say, answer 2, and we can just start with button 1 and rotate through these. So next, for our buttons, we can go ahead and change this. We'll have button 2 and button 3, and then 3. Next, we need to change our answer variables. So right now, we can go with something like answer 3 and answer 4 and just make these all sequential. And then we'll need to do changes in here, of course. So let's see, we have answer 2, we can have answer 2, and we have answer 3, 3, 3. This should have been a 4, and 4, 4. Okay, so we're not finished yet. We need to keep going with this. Right here, this is going to be the same. So this 0.id, we can just leave as is, but we need to change the shuffling, so we pull out a different number in the array of shuffled answer IDs. So for that, because they're already going to be randomized, we can just go through sequentially and get the ones that we want. And I believe that will handle this case, and we can go ahead and run it and see if our buttons are getting assigned. But before we do that, remember the button text is a little too big. So we're going to do some adjustments on the text. Now, bring up the attributes inspector. And we got a 15, so if we go down to, we can try 12. We may need to go down to 10, but we're going to see what this looks like now. So I'll just bring the simulator forward. Looks like it's rebooting or not. Maybe it is stuck. May need to restart that. So I'm going to rerun the app. We may need to, yeah, it looks like there's a problem. I'm going to go ahead and restart the simulator. So quit. I'm going to do a fresh compile on this, and then we're going to run. It's going to kick off the simulator new. Let's see if we have a simulator. Yes, way down here. And I can see it in the background flashing. So there it is. All right. We'll go into Presidents. And notice we're getting our text coming through in this case. Now, one thing we can do is maybe drag some of this text down a little bit. Because you can see how it's colliding here. And I also want to ensure that the text is getting center aligned. So let's see if we go back into our storyboard. We have these still selected. And I believe we'll need to, okay, so control alignment, but not necessarily text alignments there. Go into measuring. So I think this is the only place that we can actually do these alignments. And for now, I believe everything should be aligned properly. So one thing we can do on our text, let's see if we go back up here. I'm going to click this arrow, and we have the system text. We can go to, let's see, right here, thin. That may help a little bit. And then maybe go down to an 11 on that. All right, so we'll try that now and see what this looks like. And go into the Presidents category. All right, so we have 77 to 81. And if we go into our core data, so this is why it's good to have those answers explicitly spelled out. So we have 77 to 81. We can see that's Rutherford B. Hayes. And if I go back in here, that is this one. Notice we have correct. Now if I check over here, we have incorrect. So that's working great. Now we can wire up our give up button, which we haven't done yet. And I don't think we even have an outlet for it. So let's see over here. What are the connections? We have detail view give up. Yes, we do. So we have an action. Just need to find that one. Shuffle did receive. Next quiz is correct. So here's our button actions. This is the one we want. And this is just going to give the correct answer if they click it. So we're going to do 4B in button array. Create the body for this. So if B tag equals question dot correct answer. And then we'll say B set title. And this is going to be correct. You can make constants for these labels, by the way, because we are using them in different places. So this could just be a constant called correct, and then the other incorrect could be another constant. So we'll have UI control state is going to be normal. All right, so that should handle the give up button, and we're going to go ahead and test that now. Go into precedence. All right, so here's all the answers, and if I give up, let's make sure that's even getting hit because nothing's happening. Give up. Nothing at all is happening there. So it's as if the button's not even getting clicked or wired up at all. But I see we have the IB outlet. Click the button. We have this. Detail view controller. Give up button click. I wonder if it's hidden under some other element. And well, it's inside that view, and that looks fine. I don't know. I'm going to click on the edges of it, and I think we still have a breakpoint right here. Maybe what I need to do is just rewire this. So I am going to click here. Let's see. Just bring up my storyboard. Remove this. And then we'll go into our assistant editor and try to wire back up to this button, assuming it is going to be visible. And looks like our editor over here is not showing us the right view. Here we go. So if I click this right here, drag to this button, we should be wired up again. Let's see here. So I'm going to click on this. We are. Now I'll run this. All right, go back into precedence. Give up is not triggering. All right, so remove the editor, remove that. So I wonder if I just move this somewhere else. Well, not that far up. Let's see here. Try and move it down here. Keep grabbing the constraint. Will this make a difference? So it's outside of this view here. Let's run it and see if we have any kind of connection to it. And then we can just Control or Shift Z and go back to the original state. So that's triggering. Let this run through and see if it works. Yes, it is working. There's the text. So it looks as though it's under another element. And what I'm going to do now is Control Z it back into place. Let's see if it'll let me. Control Z, there we go. And yeah, I just think something is over it is why we can't do anything with it. So if I do this, no, that definitely is not going to help. Try and run this one more time, and I might even shut down Xcode and bring it back up because this is just strange. Okay, so now we are getting it. We can go ahead and reset the constraints on that button. I don't know why it was doing that. It's still working, right? So we have our correct answer there. And now to fix the constraint on that. So what we want, go into attributes. Actually, we need to go into the size inspector. Arrange. I want to center horizontally in container. I'm not sure if that's going to work across multiple devices, but we'll try it first. If not, we can add some constraints. So yeah, it's not. So here, what we can do, we're going to pin this button. We're going to say no margins on either side, so that should pretty much center it. And let's see, what is this complaining about? Needs a Y position. Okay, so that still looks fine. Now the thing is, does it mess up the iPhone 4? So give up, and that's correct. We'll have to check iPhone Plus. See how that looks, then we'll go down to the iPhone 4, which was the most problematic, and see what's happening there. So this has to boot up into the iPhone 6. All right, presidents, still fine. I mean, this is what we had before with the iPhone 6. Now go to the 4S. And let's see what happens here. Let's see, presidents. So this is that situation we ran into before, and the way I resolved it is to create a constraint up to the top. Actually up to this question here. So I'm going to control drag there, do vertical spacing, run this again in the iPhone 4, and just go back now and do some final checks in the iPhone 5 and 6 presidents. So there it is. So that's how that was resolved before. Now let's see if I go into the 5, run this, presidents, give up. So it's not clicking again, and that is because of that constraint that I added, which is odd. And I may need to drag all the way to the top, possibly. So let's see if I can find that particular constraint on this button here. Let's see, trailing space, leading space. I think that might be it. Yeah, looks like the one. So if I remove this, go back into the 5, I believe it'll be clickable now. So that vertical spacing up onto that label is not helping. So yeah, I need to find another way to make that constraint happen. What I'm going to do is control drag. So here's where I was before on this label, control drag up here. And let's see, leading space to view margin, leading vertical spacing to top layout guide. That sounds like what I might want. So let's see if the button is active at this point. Presidents, give up, and it is not. So these constraints are all, for some reason, causing it not to work. So I can't have that. So if I go back into the 5, it's going to work. It's going to work in the 6 as well. It'll look fine in the 6. And let's see, presidents, give up. That is working. But we're not going to have the look we want inside of the 4S, although the button will be functional. And really all we need is this back panel to retain its size, which it's not doing because you can't see it at all. And there's no ability to click this in the 4. So in this case, what we may have to do is just have no compatibility with the 4, but we do with the 5 and the 6 and the 6 Plus. Because for this right here, this panel, let's see here, I think this one, we've tried to apply the height, it doesn't stick. And then we have space to the bottom. For some reason, this one's just not working. It just becomes really a mess in the iPhone 4S. And I'm not going to go in and try to tackle, because I know it's going to be a lot of time getting it to work in the 4S. But we have good compatibility in the 5, the 6, and the 6 Plus. It's functional. And if we go back one more time in the 6 Plus, run this. And let's see, go on the presidents, give up. So that is working. So you might want to take on trying to get that to work in the 4S. I think it's a matter of getting these constraints to work properly. But there is one other thing we need to do. So let's run this again in the 5 and see what we have. All right, go to Presidents, go back. Notice we have our color up here, Super Quiz, and we can change this a little bit so that it's not just kind of that default color. So we'll have to go back into the code behind on this and go into View Did Load, and we're going to again do some modifications to this navigation controller. We want navigation bar, and then we're going to access tint color, and that's going to be UI color white. Actually, we're going to go with orange, because what we're doing is we're just going to try and get this into our theme more. So next what we're going to do is the same thing, navigation controller, navigation bar, and we want to do text attributes. And this is going to be in, let's see, we want to bracket there, NS foreground color attribute name. We want UI color. This is going to be white. And one more. So gonna go with the navigation controller again. We want navigation bar. So this time we're doing just tint color. Up here we actually want bar tint color. And then what we're going to do is a white color again. So UI color white. And let's see what this looks like now. So we'll run this in the 5. There we go. So now we'll go to Presidents, and we have our color. Our text is white. So our theming is working quite well throughout the application. Now we have a functioning app. And just to kind of summarize, if you want to load up these others, go into a core data, just follow the model we already have in here. So you'll create a load actors questions, then you'll do a load actors answers, and you can just use this same kind of pattern. And what you can do to compress this code a little bit more is put your answers or your text like this and your IDs and things into an array, and then just loop through it. That way you're dynamically creating these objects right here that we're doing in this case. So that concludes the course. So now we have a functioning quiz application, and I hope that this has been helpful and kind of shows you some new things that you can do that maybe you didn't know before, and creating this kind of application. And thanks again.